Today we're reviewing...
Fire Rescue! Pups and the Missing Water Mystery!
Oh my god. This leaves me very conflicted. Spoiler warning, I love this segment. But Kyle Dooley? That's Digi. That's Digi's voice actor. Now I'm in the weird position of wanting his character gone, but his writing to come back plenty. What a perfect Pups at Play opening. Cute interactions and, hey, I specifically said I wanted to see more of this rec room, the one time we saw it previously. Wait, Kyle, are you watching my videos for pointers, Kyle? If you are, I'm sure you know the Digi hate has nothing to do with the performance, and everything to do with the others not being able to write like you can. Fire Rescue is back. The Revisiting the 3 Popular Pups Jobs sub-series weren't great, but Fire Rescue was the most iconic and least pointless. And having any sub-series recur since the update is nice. So, this is good to see. It being the best of all the Fire Rescue episode segments doesn't hurt either.
Is that instant lemonade? Yep, just add water.
I love this opening so very much. It takes its time, the pups are showing character, they're doing things alone and independently without needing Ryder to do everything for them. And we're seeing personality here. Rocky being capable, Marshall being enthusiastic and eager, Zuma kinda in the straight man role as the funny moments come naturally. Plus look, they're eager and pantsing like actual pups. This is the best character-focused scene in such a long time.
Whoa!
A fun bit of slapstick and clumsiness from Marshall that doesn't feel forced. Great poses and expressions. Though, if I were the animator here, I'd probably have, tipped Zuma's tail up to hide behind his back. You know, for, neatness.
Oh no, the lemonade!
Oh, how cute. And look, these two actually get to interact and look at each other. It ain't verboten. Have you been taking notes on what the fandom wants, Kyle? Come on, Kyle, don't be shy. You can let us know. Marshall making very cute and silly animal noises again. Plus, let me come over this side. Look at his adorable face.
No florist fire is too big, no pup is too small.
Florist fire might actually be the show's funniest pun, especially as it's quite understated.
Yep, I'm just glad you pups could come to my lemonade.
This one, meanwhile, is just standard and nowhere near as funny as Silly Chase seems to be finding it here. But I did like the visual of the powder spreading.
I need you to smother the fire with sand from your dump truck.
I'm really glad they go for this option. It's obvious, but it's the kind of thing they would awkwardly ignore if it wasn't convenient in a worse written episode. This is a good lesson for kids, I think, and the prior segments didn't make enough of Rubble being able to do this, though it wasn't completely absent or anything.
PAW Patrol!
It showed good attention to detail that they made sure none of the dispatch shots of water filling tanks were used, and the station doesn't have its huge pipes filled. By the way, I still kind of resent Rubble and crew having a gag where the pups' toilets are hydrants. Really messes with the fun iconography of this design.
Rocky, Zuma?
Every single pup is called out. It's our first all-paws mission in an 11-minute segment in as long as I can remember. Also, it's kind of funny that those two are just standing there staring at each other and then act like they were caught when Ryder calls.
That's why there's no water.
I'm so glad it wasn't Humdinger. We've had beavers causing issues before on the show, but that was one gnawing through lots of wooden structures. This is a decent enough answer that can be quickly dealt with. Super technically, beaver dams always let water flow through them at a reduced rate, but it's totally fine as cartoon convention.
And the flames go down!
These two got clearly the coolest kit in fire rescue, and it was annoying that it didn't get used enough. Well, here they're using it in tandem, and it's extremely cool as well as, of course, inestimably cute.
Awesome! The water's back on in Adventure Bay!
Look, they even get to high five, and it's actually very rare the pups say possum. It's more of a merch thing.
Let's mix up some lemonade! Zuma, water please! On it, dude!
Rocky, my dude, come on. You know what's gonna happen. At this point, he's clearly hoping to get a soaking. No, but this is a cute, charming, character-based way to end the segment, plus show off Zuma's awesome hydro flight setup some more. And Rocky just having that jug in Mallet's space sets it up as a lighthearted scene.
Ugh, wet.
And what a wonderful series of Rocky faces we get, too. And we continue to actually have continuity from old seasons after that weird period where they forgot Rocky hates getting wet. Remember how him looking horrified about water in Valiente seemed like the animators snipping it in because the writers wouldn't? This is much better.
Stanchions!
Not for the first time in a fire rescue segment, this is a bit of a stretch to get Chase involved. And I don't think the animators helped by not having Chase guiding people who may have been confused or in disarray. Just putting stanchions in front of where they were already standing is a bit underwhelming, you know? And while I like people saying thank you in the show, the mayor thanking them for this almost seems sarcastic.
You're right, Marshall. There is a problem with the river. There's no water.
It's a little bit silly that they treat this like the first time they've seen this and that they had to travel some way to get to a place they could notice it. The river runs right behind the fire station. That's how Zuma can get out of it, you know? Maybe this is a bit actually, but I think little kid fans have the capacity to notice and be bothered by this.
Some dried out mulch on my roof caught fire.
Uh-oh, that can happen when flammable stuff like mulch gets too hot.
Other fire rescue segments made him do this too, but the over-explaining is a bit jarring. Even for the preschool audience, you don't need to do this. Uh-oh, on a hot day like today, we've got to be careful with flammable things or something would be smoother.
Pups, who wants lemonade?
They're breaking their no acting like the pups have opposable thumbs rule. I can let it slide to an extent because look how cute this is, but they've maintained this remarkably strictly for over 10 years, you know.
All this ping pong is making me thirsty. How about some lemonade? Yes, please.
Here, too, the interactions are so cute, and the vocal performances from the kids are adorable, so the nitpick seems super minor, but it flowed a little awkwardly when Rocky comes in asking who wants lemonade, they have their slapstick, and then Marshall talks about lemonade as if he's just raising it out of nowhere himself. A line that tied back to Rocky having just asked them would have been better.
I'd better put some water on that pile of mulch. Dry brush can be a fire hazard.
This is real pedantic nitpicking, and you just need something like this for the story to happen. But it doesn't make a huge amount of sense for a flower shop owner to have ever let his pile of mulch get bone dry in the first place. It's something he'd be going through a lot and fast, so it would essentially always be a damp pile in a container, not just on the deck. The same level of nitpick, but yeah, this shovel, and especially the battered old pan later on, aren't really gonna do this. Of course, the story needs to happen, but a lens or an actually reflective surface would have made more sense. Maybe something reflective he hung up to scare the birds. But these are tiny points.
I can't mix lemonade without fresh water.
I really only have the tiniest of nits to pick at, but it does feel a smidge lazy when Lizzie's lemonade jug is identical to the ones the pups have in the station. especially when they have it in the lookout, too. And it's not even the first time this season it ended up on Marshall's head in his wipeout. Being economical with making new assets, sure, but you were happy to make Chickaletta a corn bathtub just for this moment.
And I can't give Chicky Boo her bubble bath.
There's no water flowing into town. Then there must be something wrong with the river.
I actually don't consider this a tiny nitpick, though you may disagree. I don't like the way Marshall's ears gently undulate when he's going fast. How they used to flap in the old pipeline may have been less sophisticated, but it looked better. I didn't realistically expect there to be, but there was no explanation as to why they couldn't use the magic water from pup packs. Usually just Marshall's, but here Rocky's too. Since a puppy can't carry a half-ton of water, I always assumed it was some magic tech particle fusion system drawing in and molecularly binding hydrogen and oxygen from the air at an astonishing rate. But, guess they need water in the tank for the pup packs to work. It's not really something that can reasonably be delved into in the dialogue of a segment, of course. Also, compared to some really nice fluid sims the show gets for bodies of water, the sprays of water remain looking very much like they're from the old pipeline. Fire rescue, pups, and the mystery of the missing water is kinda revelatory. This is easily the season's best episode segment, and honestly, one of the top 5 in the last 10 seasons. This is really, really good PAW Patrol, and I loved it. The focus was squarely on the pups, the missions helping them have moments instead of squashing their personalities. The humans largely just moved the plot along, but showed some character. There was abundant cuteness, a clear knowledge of the oft-forgotten staples of the show, the humor was strong, and the pace never flagged. Overall, 9 out of 10. Superbly done. Only a stronger basic concept could have elevated this further. I used to think nothing good came of Digi and Tal, but I have to concede it did. It brought Dooley to the writer's room. And I'm not just memeing, I really think he researched what fans have been asking for. Alright, it's so nice to just have a new segment that I can really gush about, because I genuinely think it's fantastic. Absolutely loved this episode and hope we get a lot more like it. Alright, click here to see my review of the episode segment that came right before this one. Or click here for my fan animation that I think shows off each pup's unique character. Maybe a little exaggerated in Zuma's case. That's all for today though, and I'll see you guys again next time.